The task that I have chosen is a measurement task. This measurement task will have students developing their measurement knowledge and will result in them selecting a room from home and measuring it to develop an accurate to scale floor plan. Students will have to use tools such as meter rulers and tape measures to enable them to have accurate measurements in appropriate metric units depending on the size of what they are measuring. This task will be completely individual to ensure that all students are developing the right skills so they can leave with knowing how to accurately measure, draw a floor plan, and calculate length and perimeter on a large scale. Students will first be taught how to accurately use the tools within the classroom to ensure that they can go home and independently measure a room accurately. A mock floor plan will also be provided to ensure that the students have something to base their own on. To spark interest within the topic, students will also be challenged to design their own house or room by the end of the unit, allowing them to have the freedom to create something that interests them by being able to showcase their knowledge of what they have learned throughout the task. The learning outcome for this task is to apply the measurement knowledge that has been developed into a practical task. By the end of the task, students will be able to use different measurement instruments aiding them in completing the task. They'll also be able to use their measurement knowledge in ways that can be used outside the classroom, such as measuring complete rooms and figuring out how multiple rooms can fit together and how those measurements work together. The main outcome will be that students are able to accurately measure large lengths and are able to develop some form of planning that will enable them to be able to plan using their measurement knowledge. The general capability being developed is mathematics, as it is developing the student's knowledge of measurement and how to interpret and use different metric units. These learning outcomes will be measured by first learning to use measurement tools such as rulers and tape measures accurately. The students will then have to measure the total lengths of walls and combine those measurements to find the perimeter and area of the room. The final task will be for the students to go home and accurately measure a room of their house while being able to draw a representation of that room to scale, also showing the total perimeter and area of the room. Students will have 3 separate 1-hour lessons to first develop their understanding of measurement further from what they have learned in previous years within the first lesson. Within the second lesson, students will learn how to use the tools such as meter rulers and tape measures while being sent home to measure a room in their house. Within the third lesson, students will use the measurements that they have gathered from home and they will attempt to draw scale versions of their room while also calculating both area and perimeter of the room. I have selected this task as it builds on the students' knowledge of measurement and allows them to apply it within a real-world concept. This task also teaches students how to build on their measurement knowledge by using different metric units and building up to measure bigger objects. This task links to the Australian curriculum as it develops the students' knowledge of length and perimeter while introducing new metric units, which allows for students to measure in different ways that they would not have been previously able to. This task also has students think mathematically as to how they can measure something and how their knowledge can be applied to real-world situations.